Hello there, and welcome to today's Craze to Calm show. And as you can see, I'm not alone today. In today's episode, we are being joined by Terri Sterk. Terri is a two-time breast cancer survivor, a health and wellness coach, and a recent author. And we're going to hear more about that today. Terri has spent 7 years facilitating support groups and coaching women diagnosed with breast cancer. And she now uses her story to serve women who have experienced trauma, including breast cancer, by assisting them to thrive by healing their body, mind, and spirit. Terri, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's great to be here.
Such a pleasure. I can't wait to dive in today and learn more about you, a little bit about your story, and I also what prompted you to write the book. So let's start. Let's tear that apart a little bit and start with a little bit about you and your breast cancer story.
Okay, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I am sitting here 20 years away from my first diagnosis of triple negative breast cancer. So that's when I first got exposed to I called it the cancer underworld because I knew nothing about cancer at that point. But I've learned so much in 20 years. But I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, and I went through everything a lot of us have, which, chemo and radiation and surgery, and I got the clean bill of health. So all was good after finishing that until it wasn't. So 10 years later, I ended up with another lump of the same type of cancer in the opposite breast. So the doctors determined it was a second cancer, not the same cancer. So that was the good news, that it didn't come back. It's just, hi, I'm here. I'm the cousin. So then I made some tough decisions. My husband and I decided, all right, this is enough. So even though my doctors recommended a lumpectomy, I elected to do a double mastectomy. And so then I went through reconstruction, chemo again. And so I've lost my hair a couple of times, but I've learned that hair is not the important thing. It's our health. So I spent a lot of time, I think it was probably because it was my second round, I realized I hadn't fully healed from the first time, but I didn't know that because here it was again, and everything was just multiplied. The fear, the anxiety, I was just double the, feeling like what is happening here and why is my world crashing around me? So, but I went through a lot of healing. My journey included several coaches, nutrition coaches, and also life coaching and a therapist. I did a lot of work to get myself to where I felt I could move on and be better than I ever was before. So through that whole journey of several years, I realized, hey, I can teach other women how to do this. And that's, I got involved in 2 support groups in my town and started helping other women and also doing some coaching one-on-one locally. Then with the pandemic that impacted the world, I saw a need. I was inside a lot of Facebook groups, just helping women, just because that's where my heart has always been. And so I would help with whatever I could inside these groups. But with the pandemic, I saw a lot more anxiety, we can't take anyone with us to our, to our chemo. Everyone was so alone because they were stuck in their houses. And when I went through it, it wasn't like that. I was going out with coffee with girlfriends, and they were coming to my house, and everyone was just surrounding me. And I saw that was missing. So I tried to create a space. That's what motivated me to write the book. I started a Facebook group. I started getting involved in coaching women inside the group. And I saw it grow and grow and grow. And then I started writing the book thinking, there's a way I can get this out to people all over the world. And that's in the book. Yeah. So the book has just been launched. We can talk about that more, but that's how I came to write the book.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And I think that what you're speaking to is something that I certainly see too, that there's a desperate need for community, for understanding that the journey isn't over when you're done with your treatment. In fact, I think that beyond that point, for so many of us, it becomes almost harder than going through treatment in so many ways, especially mentally and emotionally. You talked about when you got your second diagnosis that you realized that you weren't done with healing. What was that recognition for you? Do you remember what it was that triggered that thought for you? Or that realization?
Yeah. I was healed physically from that first cancer, but I never fully understood the emotional and spiritual impact. At least for me, that's what came up. The mind games I played with myself, the emotion where I was triggered all over the place. There was also a lot happening in my family with aging parents and all that comes with that. So there was just a lot crashing in. And that's when I realized I got to do something because this cancer is weighing me down. I have too much life to live to let that happen. So I think that was the realization. At that point, I was 50 years old and my kids were a little older. So I think I had more, at least the way I feel it, I had more focus on myself because they needed me less, where the first time they were little kids. And so I was so focused on them and being their mom and pretending I was healthy when I wasn't,
I do. Yes. Right.
So that was probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wearing that mask, right? That says to the world that you're smiling and everything's okay, but on the inside, a very different story. And I think that what you described is something that so many mothers experience. But I also hear it with people with aging parents, like you were saying, Terri, because they don't want their parents to worry. So it's almost like you're in this middle spot where you don't want anybody to worry, but you're carrying it all on your own in so many ways. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you said that you realized after the pandemic that there was a need within the breast cancer community. How did you get started with the book? And I know you have a copy there, so please feel free to share it with us. I was like, we were celebrating before Thrive After Breast Cancer. And it's not just your story, right? You've included some other stories in there too.
Right. There are around 20 women who contributed to this book as well. I interviewed many survivors just to get their viewpoints because we all thrive differently. My definition of thriving is different than yours. We have different lives. That's why thriving means something different to all of us. And so that's the perspective I tried to bring to the book is, as I was talking about in the book, different phases of our journey through cancer. And that's where I pull in their stories, where they were finding ways to thrive in spite of the cancer.
Mm.
And very inspirational stories. Stage 4 survivors are in the book as well, because they've committed to live with cancer, not die from cancer.
Yeah.
So that's thriving, is I just want to keep living. That's their attitude. So they're in the book as well. And so it's really just strategies. Like if you feel like you're stuck, what can I do? The book gives you ideas for things you can do.
I love that because so often that's what we want, right? That's the question we're asking is, what can I do? I feel stuck. I don't know what to do. What can I do? So
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So tell us a little bit more about how writing the book impacted your own healing.
Mm-hmm. I have always been a writer. I kept lots of journals. I just have a box full of these journals. Um, that's what I pulled from. I first started going through my journals and marking pages, but then I would feel triggered, so I just put them away.
Mm.
Like, oh, I don't, reliving this experience is not, I just wasn't in the right headspace to do it. But then I kept trying, and eventually, now I can read them and not feel any sort of trigger. So that tells me I'm healed. I would use my story to figure out, all right, how did I get past this? That's where the research came in. I started talking to my doctor, my oncologist, and he gave me ideas that he had seen me grow in the 10 years that he's known me. And then when I was helping with the support groups, I started seeing what other women were going through. But anyway, the healing journey was helping other people. And I saw that throughout my journals, that even though I was dealing with my own trauma, I was still helping other people to get through whatever they needed. Not every day, because obviously we have issues we're dealing with. But the fact that that was in me, that I was a person who needed to help others, I knew that's how I was going to thrive. So I just I found out what my purpose was. I
Mm.
guess that's and that's also in the book. When you figure out your purpose, and you do that by analyzing your life, just reflecting on what gets me up in the morning, what excites me. And that's what I found in my journals. It was an overriding trend everywhere that, oh, I wish I felt like, because I would go over across the street and help Wendy, or I would do this if I felt better. It was always about someone else. So, and that's why I spend so much time in the breast cancer community, because I know there is a way to thrive. We just each have to find it. And if I can help just ignite that spirit, then they can figure it out themselves.
Yeah, I love that. I think finding your purpose is such a huge part, and I know you and I spoke about this before when we were chatting previously. Um, I found my purpose too, going through breast cancer and realizing that that's where I could also serve people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it's how do you? Let me ask you a question because something I hear all the time. And I'm curious to get your perspective on it, Terri, because so often when I'm having conversations with other breast cancer survivors,
Mm-hmm.
And they say, Karen, I just want to help others. And you see that and you feel that and you know that. How how do you approach that? Because for me, there's an important first step before we throw ourselves into helping others. So I'm curious where you stand on that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We need to be, well, let's see, how do I say this? We need to be on our way to being healed ourselves. Because if we're still trying to recover, then we're not quite ready to help others. We have to focus on ourselves first.
Yeah.
Then we can spread our wings and help other people. And I have some stories about that in my book too, where there was a time when I started too soon and I ended up going backwards because I wasn't fully ready.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson learned. I didn't know. You know?
I think that's how most of us learn lessons in life, unfortunately, or fortunately,
Yeah.
right? But um, I mirror that exact sentiment, and I think so. For somebody that's watching right now, for me, if you're just thinking, "I need to help others, I need to help others," and I know, and you might know that that is your purpose. Terry and I
Mm-hmm.
both invite you to make sure that you. I have a phrase that I say, and it's like, do you have the bandwidth, right, to take care of both yourself and others, right? And be honest, and there's no right or wrong, there's no judgment. There will be a right time, just like Terry sharing from your own experience. The time comes, and how did you know when that time was right for you?
Well, that's interesting too, because, um, I worked full time, and all through the pandemic, when I was trying to help other women, in the Facebook groups, and coming to that realization that I needed to do more.
Mhm.
I need to do more because I can help people. And so as I started doing that, I left my job almost 1 year ago to do this. Well, I don't work full time now because I call myself retired, but mostly full time. And that's, so when I look at myself from a year ago to now, I realize I did a lot of healing in the last year.
Mm.
So I guess my point is, where you start, I thought I was ready. I mean, I could talk confidently to other women. I could advise them if they had questions, um, tell them what worked for me, to give them ideas, just find out what works for them. I could do all that. I think I've grown and healed in the last year to be able to do it better. And that's where the book finally got published, because I felt more confident.
Mm.
But to know I was ready because I felt confident and good about what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But now, in reflecting, uh, I wasn't as ready as I am today. But I think we're all healing. We're always going to get better. There's never, okay, I'm done. You just
Wow.
keep healing. You keep working it to get better at, we all have little things we deal with. And so you just keep working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a journey, right? And it's about progress, not
Yeah.
perfection. And
Yes.
when I'm asking, how do you know when you're ready? I don't think there's ever the perfect time. It's a gut intuition. You try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, just like what happened with you, Terry, you take a step back and you say, okay, it wasn't the right time. And remember to practice kindness and self compassion during that period.
Yeah,
Know that, okay, it's just not the right time. It doesn't mean anything about you, right? So
right.
I love that. Love, love, love that. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about the book, Terry?
Well, the book is launched. We're on day 3 now.
Yay!
So I like to say, that the book is 3 days old, but it was 20 years in the making.
Mm,
Um, so I'm excited to have it out because I know there's lots of great information in there. Um, Preliminary feedback has been very, very positive, and several women have reached out to me in the last couple of days saying that they're so excited about the book that it's been very helpful.
yes.
So I want people right now, the ebook, if you're one who has a Kindle and you like to do things electronically, you can get the book for free
Ooh,
on Amazon. If you want to buy the paper book, it's priced at $17.99 right now. So again, it's a couple dollars off at the moment. But I wanted it to be affordable. I did not want to create something that wasn't within reach for anyone. Um, it's never about the money for me. It's about helping women to get better so that they can thrive too.
yeah. I love that. I love that. And by the way, all of the link to Amazon and everything will be on my blog. So karendelmaestro.com/blog. So it will all be there for you to go and take a look and be able to click right through. Terry,
Mhm.
who specifically is this book for? Is it for anybody that's been through breast cancer, or is it more specifically for a certain phase of the journey?
It is for anyone, newly diagnosed to I've been done with cancer for 5 years or longer.
Hmm.
Anywhere in that span. It's also good for caregivers to help them understand what their loved one is going through. Um, a lot of the strategies in there are not just used for breast cancer. When we're trying to heal our minds, it's and our hearts, it's trauma is trauma. Our body doesn't know the difference between breast cancer or some other kind of trauma. It just knows my heart is broken. Yeah. So a lot of the strategies and things that I talk about in the book are good for anyone, anyone who just has something they need to heal. So, and I've had other women tell me that too, that they want to show or have their kids read the book because there's things that they can learn from in the book, not just about breast cancer, but about life.
Mm. And I think when we use this word trauma, I think it's really important to understand right now that every person on this planet has gone through trauma, because we
Hmm.
all experienced COVID. We all
Right.
experienced a global pandemic where our worlds were turned upside down, inside out. And I think that I know that you see it. I know that I see it. So many people struggling with their emotional and mental health right now. And
Yes.
and I want everybody to know that there are tools that can help. And if it, I mean, this trauma piece is so important to to healing, to living a healthy life, to living a happy life,
Yeah.
right? All of those things. And so it sounds fabulous. I can't wait to get my own copy, Terry. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today before I let you go? And because I know that busy with your book launch and everything.
Yes. I guess the last thing I would say is this is a book that's full of heart, because I believe if we think with our hearts, we'll be in a much happier place and the world would be a much happier world. So often our hearts don't agree. If they don't, go with your heart. That's my advice. And your head will eventually catch up. But that was my approach to get through cancer, and it's also how the book is written. Think with your heart.
Love that. Such great advice. Think with your heart. I always say it's like that's your inner guide, right? As opposed
Right.
to the noisiness up here. So, Terri, thank you so much for being here with us today, sharing your story, sharing about your book. I wish you so much success with it. And by that, I mean touching so many hearts of women and people out there who need the healing, who need the help. And I think this understanding for so many of us that everybody's story is inspiring to somebody else. So
Right.
please, read other people's stories, share your story, be brave, be courageous, and step out of the comfort zone. And in that, you might find your purpose, just like Terri has with writing her book and sharing these stories. So Terri, thank you so much again for being here with us today. To those of you that are on live with us, Jackie, I see you. Sorry, I just saw your message pop up. Jackie, do you have any questions for Terri if you're on live? She's here with us. You get to. Sometimes there's a delay. I don't see anything coming in, but Jackie shared, you are such lovely women helping so many of us. So, no,
Oh, that's nice.
already touching people, Terri. So, thank you so much again for being here. And we wish you the best with the book. And like I said, can't wait to read it. For those of you that also want to grab the book, again, hop on over to karendonmaestro.com/blog. And the link to connect with Terri, to get the book, all of those things will be over there. So thank you so much, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you. Goodbye.